What's up, friends? My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Let me get this stopped here real quick. Tonight is Monday Q&A. And we're gonna really, and by we I mean me, I'm gonna really try to get the words eluded him in the first 10 seconds of the live stream. I'm gonna really try to get the Cinesplore done tonight because it scares me to not have it ready to go, which is actually kind of what I'm farting around with right now. Wow, these are some long wires on here. Yeah, I'm building the cable for the Unify 5 volt here, which is going into this main Cinesplore. And yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. In the chat, we're Ricardo was first. Riot 9 was next. Gavin Ozan, Imp FPV, Whack FPV, Grizz, J Drones, Rob Axelson, JT Custom Knives, Frank Nicholas, Meepo Deep, Chomper FPV is here, JR FPV, Bob Noxious, Athix, Remy Tim, Northern Tier, NPA, Family Guyver, Tim Coker, Rob Axelson, Gamma Gonad, Paul McDonald, Metal Diskin, Brandon's Baked Beans, Chomper again, Borked, Family Guyver, Chris Croft, Rob Axelson, Nathan, FPV Trucker, Riot 9. What's up, friends? I'm going to stop there. If you want to talk directly to me in the chat, all you've got to do is type my name. You don't have to put an @ in front of it, but you certainly can. You do have to spell it right. CiottiFPV, no spaces. If you do that, it'll light up orange. If you do that with anybody's name in the chat, it'll light up orange. Look, I decorated for Christmas. Well, that's fucking weak. That is weak. Jeez. Hold on. That's absolutely. That's no good. Hold on. There we go. That's a little better. You gonna throw up, buddy? Please don't. If you do it on a smooth surface, please. You're my boy, Blue. Ricardo tagged me first. He said, is the RunCam Split 4K, not the hybrid good? I'm thinking putting 1.6-inch 2S for slow cinematic and through gaps using Gyroflow, Go2, or GoPros are so expensive. Thanks. I haven't tested any of the split cams in a long time, so I have no idea, Ricardo. But I'm sure if you search here on YouTube for RunCam Split 4K, there'll be a bunch of reviews. You can take a look at some flight footage and, yeah, see if it's worth it for you. My experience with the non-hybrid, non-dual censored split cams is that the field of view and the latency are just brutal, and I can't fly confidently. I used to not be able to fly confidently with them. So yeah, my guess would be that it's going to be a little bit tough, but I don't know. Maybe they're a little bit better nowadays. You never know. But yeah, I've not run one of those non-dual lens split cameras in probably like 2+ years. Grizz FPV says, gave the Ripsuka a bath in the creek on break at work today. Got it, no powder or anything, bought it, dried it, was all good. Can't believe nothing fried. Yeah, it's pretty nuts how many times you can submerge a rig in water. Rob Axelson says, coming in hot. He also says, saw flow state last night, very impressed. Yeah, I think for me, the most impressive thing about flow state is how good of a documentary it is. Like, it's just a real good documentary. Like, bonus, it's about us. But, like, James is just a brilliant documentarian. So, yeah. If it makes its way to Netflix and Hulu and shit, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be one of those documentaries that does really, really well in there. J Drone says, "What's up?" Family Guyver says, "What's up?" Chris Croft says, "Hello." Nathan says, "I keep breaking ducts on my Cinesplore. I'm doing close proximity stuff and bumping things. What would you recommend to help me make them a little more robust?" It depends on which ducts you're using, Nathan. If you're using 3D printed ducts, that's your problem. 3D printed ducts, unless they're made of TPU, are always going to be very fragile. If they're made of TPU, then the situation is kind of no better, because instead of breaking, they just like collapse and they stop the propeller. And then the other issue is like when you're carrying the quad around, like the ducts will deform, and it's all the issues with the squirt. I really like the cheap Cinesplore ducts, the Cloud 149 ducts. Those are molded plastic and they're incredibly tough. Nowadays there are also Stan FPV ducts for the Cinesplore, which I am switching over to. That are molded by HQ out of the really durable HQ plastic. So these ducts, I believe, are the way to go moving forward. They're not as tall as the Cloud 149 ducts, so they're a little bit faster. But they're poured, they're molded, so they're arguably more, and they're thicker, so they're arguably more durable. But yeah, I would get the Cloud ducts because they don't cost anything, and those are your slow speed ducts because they're really tall. They're going to literally make the rig fly slower, which is going to be perfect for you for doing indoor stuff. If you want a little bit more speed, these CineFPV ducts are going to be your best bet. And it is noticeable. It is definitely noticeable, the difference in speed between the Cloud ducts and these guys. So, and yeah, it's really nice to have both options because they're easy to swap out, right? It's just 3 screws on each duct, so it's really easy. Like, if you get to a gig and you thought you were going to be flying slowly, but you actually need to start covering some ground, you can probably just ask the director for a couple of minutes. You probably only need to ask for a couple of minutes to get the duct swapped over. FPV Trucker says, throw your hands in the air when I roll through Atlanta in about an hour. Nice. Very cool, FPV Trucker. CH3FPV says, the T-Motor F0802 and 0803 came out today. They did indeed. I reposted T-Motor's announcement. Yeah, the T-Motor 0802s are only 22,000 kV. I told them that they should have made them 25,000 kV, but they didn't make that change. So there are a bunch of 0802s that are 22,000 kV. So yeah, those are whatever. But the 0803s are really interesting. The 0803s are 22,000 kV, which is really high for an 0803. And in my 75 millimeter motor-to-motor tiny whoop testing, those 0803s destroyed all of the other motors that made any sense for a 1S 75 mil tiny whoop. So yeah, there's that. One of my prototype 0803s, the bell is the magnets are slipping. The what's it called? The flux ring. The part of the bell that goes around the magnets is slipping down. So I actually need to buy a couple of the. What I think I'll do is like buy 2 of the 0803s, and yeah, I'll swap that out and we'll be good to go. JVFPV says words are hard. Mr. Bill FPV tagged me, as did AA, as did Quasimodo rather. He said buenas noches. Dusty Joe said what's up. Way too early for Christmas. So, no such thing. No such thing, man. I love Christmas. Chris Croft says, wifey says can't put up Christmas decorations until December 1st. To be honest, this is all I've done. This is a set of USB Christmas lights that I used to put in my cubicles when I worked in Corpo. And I was going through a box and I found them, and I was like, well, if I put these away, I'll never get them back out, so let me just throw them up. I have 2 sets of them. The other set is in the living room above the TV. So yeah, I haven't gone all in on Christmas decorations yet. There's a little more purple for us. But yeah, Christmas is coming. The 12 hours of Christmas is coming. I gotta figure out what day I'm doing it. I have a feeling I'm gonna do it on Christmas Day, start it at like 4 p.m. and run it until 4 a.m. or however long my voice holds out. It'll be the same deal as last year. $100 an hour will keep the red onesie on me. So yeah. And it's kind of good timing because the cinematic gigs have kind of dried up. So I need something to support me a little bit more financially than what the Patreon is kind of doing at this point. So yeah, it'll should be good. Should be good. You guys seem to love to keep me in very uncomfortable outfits when given the opportunity. As would I, if given the chance. So I get it. We're one and the same, friends. Rob Axelson said he's gonna puke in your shoes. I keep my shoes like in a spot where you can't puke in them. Jay Drone says, "Are you gonna have to take that shit down to get your quads?" Nope. It ends. God, it's hard to do this backwards. It ends at the one nail, so that rig just goes right up on top of it. Chris Croft says, so they figured out the issues so that we can actually watch it. I assume so, Chris. I haven't been paying much attention, to be totally honest. But yeah. Walkie Talkie FPV just ordered a set of those Stan FPV ducts. Nice, man. You're gonna dig them. Rob Axelson says, yes, I learned about racing and how to locate stuff. Wish it would get released so my wife can show her classroom. Soon enough, man. Soon enough. It's worth waiting to get it released properly so that it gets picked up. And I mean, it's less. Yeah, it's worth it to do that. And for James, it's important for him to do that because it's his livelihood. You know, like if he half-asses the release, he could potentially take a bath on this. He's got a shitload of money and time invested in it. So yeah, it needs to get released properly, and it should get released properly. You know, like I think it's a really good thing for us if like how cool would it be if like somebody from your life outside of FPV messaged you after Flow State came out and was like, yo, I just watched Flow State, that shit's so cool, I can't believe that's what you do. You know what I mean? Like that'll be amazing. So it's worth waiting for it to get put out properly. That's what she said. Pop out chat, because something weird's happening with Google Chrome here. Let me find where I was in the chat here, live chat. Metal Dirtskin with a $5 super chat. He says, should I wait for the 0803s on a 75mm Roop or are the 0802s good enough? The 0802s are definitely not good enough, Metal Dirtskin, in my opinion. So I tested 4 different motors on 75mm motor-to-motor whoops. The 0802s were absolutely the worst. The 1102s. I tested 2 different 1102s. They were quite a bit better than the 0802s, but they were nowhere near as good as the 0803 22,000s. The main reason that I think that the 1102s were not as good as the 0803s is that they didn't have enough KV. I think that if the 1102s, the 1102s were 19,000 and 18,000 KV, I believe. And I think that just wasn't quite enough. That being said, there is a chance that the fact that it's an 02 stator is also a part of the problem. When you think about it, like a 2mm, if you go from a 2mm tall stator to a 3mm tall stator, yes, it's only an extra millimeter, but it's 50% more height. And the height of the stator is what does all the work, because that's where the windings are going to run vertically, and that's what's going to actually pull the magnet. So yeah, that could have something to do with it too. But yeah, man, those T-Motor 0803 22,000 kV motors are amazing on the 75mm Whoop. As long as I can get this Cinesplore done here tonight, Whoop Wednesday this week is going to be one of the things that we're going to do is put the Insta360 Go 2 bunny ears onto the 75mm motor-to-motor Whoop, and we're going to see if that thing can lift up the 26 gram. I'm sure it can lift it, but we're going to see if there's enough thrust left over to have it be actually like somewhat flyable. So that's pretty exciting. I really hope to hell that it is, because if I have to go up to a 2-inch propeller to carry around the Go 2, that's gonna suck, because when you do that, yeah, it just becomes harder to keep the ducts out of view, and there just aren't, I don't really know of any really good frames that are gonna be really lightweight. So yeah, we'll see. If it's not good enough, I think what I'm actually going to end up doing is building a 2S 75mm rig. So, but that's, I don't know of an AIO. The getting an AIO is going to be a problem with that. Is going to be the problem with that setup. But we'll see. We'll see. CH3FPV says 0802R 25,000 kV. Are they really? Okay. 661FPV says the same thing. That's awesome. Well then, hell yeah. That's great. I mean, I already have a whole bunch of the Happy Model 0802 25,000s, so I don't necessarily need them. But if you guys are in the market to build a rockin' Tiny Whoop, if you want to build a 65mm Tiny Whoop, 0802 25,000s are definitely the way to go. If you want to build a 75mm, so I mean, basically, T-Motor's got you covered on the two best motor solutions for a Tiny Whoop. That's pretty slick. That's awesome that they took my advice. That's great. Yeah, very cool. That feels good. I was kind of like, oh. 661 says, "What silly thing will you wear this Christmas?" It's gonna be the onesie again. I don't have anything else insane. And the onesie is plenty embarrassing and plenty uncomfortable. So yeah. My red onesie is the Christmas costume, so get used to it. Rob Axelson says, "If I send you a Ralphie Christmas Story bunny suit, will you wear it during the 12 hours of Christmas?" I will, Rob. Just make sure it's make sure it's tall enough for a 6'3" gangly son of a bitch. 6X1FPV says, "I'm running 0802s on a 75mm frame. Finding the right prop matters. I'm running the GemFan 1610 bi-blades. Must be on bi-blades. This thing rips." Interesting. I've never had luck with anything less than a quad blade. But I have really, sort of impossible expectations for Tiny Whoops. I'm expecting them to pick up heavy loads. I'm expecting them to, really rail. So I always go with the 4-blade props to get as much thrust as I possibly can. Even the 3 blades just don't do it. I've also tried the bi-blades, even with high KV, and it just doesn't give me enough. It just doesn't give me enough horsepower. My Tiny Whoops end up only running for about 2 minutes, but my God, those 2 minutes are mayhem. Upside down stalls, and I mean, you guys have seen me fly around here. It's yeah. They make some really decent power. You're right. The T-Motor is not Unibel 661. And I have the GemFan and I have 2 sets of bi-blades. I don't like them. They just don't make enough thrust. The Venom, the Newbie Drone Venom, I have those bi-blades as well. And yeah, they just don't make enough jam. To be honest, I didn't even like those bi-blades on the 65mm Whoop. And I had it on the 0802 25,000s. Athix FPV says, "What if we try to make a frame around the Insta360 Go 2? I know 3D printed frames aren't the best. It's an idea though." Yeah, I wasted a lot of time late last year, early this year with 3D printed Whoop frames. I will never go down that road again. If we were gonna build a frame around the Insta360 Go 2, I would rather it be carbon. But I don't have any time to dive into a project like that, unfortunately. Rob Axelson says, "I'll see if they have extra ganglion stock." Rob's out of here. Good. Thanks for hanging, brother. Cool. I'm caught up on chat. This is a Q&A stream. Ask as many questions as you want. Here's today's t-shirt from Blipshift, one of my favorites. Let's get to work, friends. Hold on. Let me fix this. This looks ridiculous. Why is this so... Why is this so wide? Hey, I put a patrons. I put a new edit up. You should go watch it. Patreon, fresh Patreon only edit on the YouTube playlist, which I've also linked over on Patreon. It costs you $3 whole a month. It's a cup of coffee a month. It's 10 cents a day. Patreon is the closest thing that I have to a paycheck. It's the way for me to continue doing these live streams. So if you dig these live streams, jump onto the Patreon page, and you'll get access to a really fun edit that I just finished up from that I flew 2 days ago. Spent some Mazda 2 time today. Cleaned it up a little bit, cleaned it out, removed the stickers on the back window, on the rear window had been on there for a long time, and they were kind of all cracked and they looked like hell, so I razor bladed those all off. I cleaned out the interior, bunch of stuff. Just I switched the shift knob over, just did a bunch of simple stuff to kind of make it a little bit more mine. I took a look at the front lip, which my ex-wife had said it just barely came off, and it's totally fine. It is not totally fine. It's a 3D carbon front lip that they didn't make many of. They probably only made about 20 of them in the whole country. So I'm really, and it really took a beating. I don't know what the fuck happened, but yeah, that bothers me, because that's going to be expensive to get it fixed. But it is what it is. The rear piece that also got ripped off was a little bit worse than I thought too. So that was there. I was hoping it would be a cheap fix so I could get it fixed sooner than later, but it's not going to be cheap. So I just kind of stashed them, and I'm just going to have to deal with that next year, the year after, or something like that. The car's just going to have to look stock for a while, which is, whatever. But yeah, that was nice. I went for a little drive to nowhere last night. That was cool to do that again. When I get super anxious at night, or the loneliness starts fucking with me, that's one of the ways that I've sort of found to kind of beat that, is just to not have a plan, just jump in the car, put some music on, and just start driving in a direction for a while. So that was really nice to be able to do that last night. I haven't really been able to do that in a long time. So that was pretty slick. Felt really good to do that in my own car. So yeah, things are looking up. B-Man is in the house. JVFPV says, have you ever flown a Cinerat? I have not. I've heard that the Cinerat has a lot of nasty harmonics, and it's almost impossible to get tuned. So I've never gone down the Cinerat road. It's also an extremely heavy frame for kind of no reason. There's really no reason to have a Cinewoop frame that's only going to go 5 miles an hour be so durable and stiff and heavy. It really does. Cinewoops fly really good when you get the weight down. So yeah, I'm the elated winner of one from the pictures. It looks like it was 3D printed. Curious for it to arrive and see how it flies. If you start having trouble tuning it, JV, don't spend a lot of time. I've heard that it's kind of untunable, unfortunately. Maybe throw it up on FPV Exchange and use the money to buy a Cinesplore if you're looking to build a Cinewoop. The Cinesplore frame is, I think we can comfortably say that it's the best Cinewoop frame available. Enough people have flown it and gone, holy shit, this is better than all the other Cinewoops, and I have as well. So there's an idea for you. Frank Nicholas dropping the link to CiottiFPV.com. Marie Tim dropping the Linktree link This is my full-time job. If you'd like to support me on this crazy journey, head on over to the website, click a bunch of buttons. There's a whole bunch of affiliate links. I'm doing a bunch of really fun things on Fiverr, build planning, flight coaching, and tuning help. So jump on over there. Let me work for you. I'll give you one-on-one, whatever you need, whatever I can do to save you some time and save you some money. The build planning is one of my favorites because it's going to really give you guys a lot of bang for your buck in that you're going to stop buying electronics that catch on fire, and you're going to save money there, and you're going to save time there, and you're going to buy components that fly properly so that your rig flies better, and who doesn't want that? There's also a Teespring store with a bunch of cool t-shirts and mugs and shit, and there's an Etsy store with a whole bunch of stickers. You can't tell me that you don't want, well, not all these stickers are up there yet, but you can't tell me that you don't want some of these stickers. That's Clam Man. He's reminding you to never give up. You know you need Clam Man in your life. There's a Nut Grabber sticker. Who doesn't need that? A holographic Purple Collective sticker. Cool little 80s style sticker there. Magnet? Look at that. Who doesn't want a magnet for the trunk of their car? OG matte sticker. OG holographic sticker. And then in small version, these little guys fit beautifully on your Fat Sharks, which is super fun. One of them's holographic, one of them's matte. This ain't up there yet, but I'm working on it. This is the new logo, and then this is another variation on the logo. This is actually like becoming my signature. I've been kind of like fucking around with it and basically like practicing it. Because it's cool to have a little, a little something something. I don't know. It's the most important part of FPV, getting a logo and picking a pilot name. Chris Young is in the house. He says, let me go to town and detail the two. I'll help you, man. I spent many years when I had both black cars, the Miata and the Mustang, learning how to detail. I have all the gear and shit. The paint's actually in pretty good shape. The only thing that really needs to be done is the headlights need to be, the headlights are very cloudy and very yellowed, so they need some attention. The paint's fine though, because it's it's funny. To me, the paint looks great because I'm used to black cars where like you spend 8 to 10 hours detailing them, and then the wind blows and it looks like you never even touched it. It looks like it's been through a goddamn mud bog. So yeah, the blue paint of the two just looks incredible to me. So yeah, the big thing that needs to be done with the two though, it needs front pads and rotors, which is easy. But when I'm in there, I need to get the shocks revalved. The front K-Sport coilovers, the shocks I think are both blown, and in the rear, there's K-Sports in the rear because the ASTs that I put on it. AST is Advanced Suspension Technology. It's the same company as Moton. They bought Moton when they went out of business. Moton being one of the more bougie coilover manufacturers. Yeah, the ASTs that I have in a box also need to get revalved. So, it's like real bad. Like it's all kinds of bouncy right now. So yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. I got to get in touch with K-Sport and ask them if maybe like I can buy a set of their fronts and then put them on and then take these off and send them back for a core charge maybe or something like that, because the only other option would be to put factory front shocks back on, and that would just be ridiculous. So yeah, I gotta figure out what I'm doing there. But yeah, I need to have a bunch of revalving done, and that'll actually be nice because the front K-Sports were valved for autocross. So the story behind the coilovers on the two I got them from Andy Hollis, who campaigned. I think it was Andy Hollis, who's a very famous autocrosser, who had the rear ASTs custom made, super one-off, probably like $2,500 to $3,000 went into those rear coilovers, and then he had K-Sport custom valve a set of fronts because AST was not willing to make a set of fronts for him for the car. And the valving on both the fronts and the K-Sport fronts and the AST rears was super aggressive, like national tour autocross valving for mega spring rates. Something like 600 foot-pounds in the front, and I want to say 400 in the rear. When I bought the coilovers, they also came with a set of street springs, 300 in the front, 200 in the rear, I believe. I have to look all this up. And that's why the valving went to hell. I had too little spring rate for the valving, so basically the valving was adding spring rate. And when you do that, it's really hard on the valving. It's funny. I had the opposite situation that most people do. Most people buy shocks and dampers that are undervalved for the springs that they go with. And that's actually easier on the shocks. It rides like shit, but it's easier on the shocks because the valving just opens all the time. In this scenario that I had, the valving was much more restrictive, so it was having to do a ton of work without the proper spring rates there to support it. So the stiffer valving was really moving a lot, and that creates a lot of heat and a lot of wear and a lot of stress and blah, 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 blah. But let's talk about FPV instead of going down the rabbit hole of suspension tuning. Aethix says, Friday I'll be at Universal at Harry Potter World. Ooh, you'll have a blast, man. That's super fun. 661 says, have you seen Kebab's new frame? Not the Y, but the quad with split arms. I have. I've been talking to Kebab about that frame for 6+ months. He's done a bunch of different designs. Pretty interesting. It's not the frame for me. The Glide is a better frame for me. The single thick arm is going to be better for freestyle, for crashing. The split arm is going to be better for long range or just like grass crashes, basically. So yeah, not the frame for me, but I'm sure it's going to be a really good frame. Michael Blade saying, hey. B-Man says, like the shirt, you should make one that says breaking quads like that with your logo. Yeah, but then breaking will be spelled wrong. It's an interesting thought. It would be fun to do an elemental. I've not seen an FPV shirt with the elemental boxes. That'd be fun to figure something out there. Chomper FPV says, I like to play my electric drum kit at night when I'm anxious. Can't zone out that much when I'm driving. I would love to have an electric drum kit, man. That would be super fun. And they're fucking cheap now. They're like proper cheap. Although I'm on the 3rd floor, I wouldn't actually be able to. Realistically, I wouldn't be able to, because the bass drum and the hi-hat pedals would probably travel right down through the floor into the downstairs neighbors. And I really like my downstairs neighbors, so I actually wouldn't do that. But next year, it's looking like I'll be in a house, and that means I'll be able to get my actual drum kit from New Jersey, my acoustic set, and potentially get that set up. So that might be kind of cool. Only problem with that is it's so goddamn loud that it's like, when the hell do you play it? But we'll see. Grizz FPV said, fuck you, YouTube, stop doing the thing. I don't know if you've talked about it a lot, but what props do you recommend for Ripsqueak 1505 Toka's Runcam Hybrid? So far I've tried the Gemfan 3020 and 3052. I didn't even know that Gemfan made the 3020 until today, believe it or not. Today is the first time I've ever seen those Gemfan 3020s. I don't know what rock I've been living under. Best props for the 50, best 3-inch T-mount props, hands down right now, are the Dow 30/28s. And I actually just got them in the silly yellow color, but they also make them in this silly Tiffany blue color. So yeah, these are definitely the props that you want, Grizz, for sure. Dow 3028. They are brilliant. Really good blade profile, really good strength, nice strong, like not too strong, but just strong enough. Yeah, these are hands down the best 3-inch. What are these called? Propellers? T-mount 3-inch propellers that we've got at the moment. So yeah, get you some. I know that I'm going to be. I'm going to beat the living hell out of these rip squeaks once I have a couple of the little kinks worked out. So I wanted to buy a bunch more so that I'd be all ready to go. All right. Now I feel better. I have a good supply of 30/28s. Missed. Jay Jones says, is smoking car lights a thing in the U.S.? It used to be. Not many people do that anymore. But it used to be, for sure. Cops will give you tickets for having your rear lights done, and then smoking your front lights, it kills all the light output at night, and it's hard to drive at night. So most people don't do it anymore. The hot thing to do, in my opinion, is to black out the housing. You use a heat gun, you pull the front lens off, and then you black out the housing inside. Not the part right behind the bulb, you leave that chrome, but the rest of the housing you spray it black. That usually looks way cooler than smoking the actual lens, in my opinion. JVFPV says, oh, wonderful, thank you for the info as always. You're certainly welcome. JVFPV says, I've got K-Sports on my VW. They're pretty good. K-Sports are pretty good. They're not... I'm very spoiled. I've had a lot of different dampers, shocks, struts on cars over the years. And since I've always been into like autocross and road racing, I've gravitated towards the nicer end of the spectrum. And I've also driven a lot of cars on really nice stuff. K-Sport is not like low end, but they're also not high end. They strike a good balance, like somewhere in the middle, which is nice because the high end stuff is really expensive. You know, like a set of AST Moton 949 Zetas for my Miata is the better part of $3,000, and that's a lot, you know, like especially for a car that's only worth like $5,000. So yeah, K-Sports are a really good option, and because the really cheap stuff is not going to hold up, and it's not going to have enough valving, and it's going to ride like shit, and then it's going to just blow up anyway. Whereas with K-Sports, you can have them custom valve it, and the valving was pretty good. The fronts were totally fine. This set of coilovers has really had a hell of a life. Andy ran them on his 2 on the national autocross circuit for many years, and yeah, that puts a shitload of abuse into them. So, and then yeah, I street drove them, which also puts a ton of temperature into them and stress on the valve. So, is what it is. Chris Young says, I have shock clamps. We can swap all that, no problem. They're actually short enough that we don't need clamps, which is nice. I put them on without using any of that shit. Thank God. But yeah, got to do a little wrenching. I think Mr. P. Richard Scott. I believe his dad has a garage with a lift, which would be amazing, because I hate working on cars in apartment parking lots, and I hate working on cars in the cold. So, yeah, we'll see. I'm going to see if I can maybe bum some garage time off of him. Cody SA says, I have a 3-inch Taycan. Would it be good to switch everything over to Cinesplore 1606 motors? I know the 2203 motors would be ideal. I think it says on the FPV Cycle website that the 1606 motors are very coggy, very notchy, which is a deal breaker, especially for a Cinewhoop. That's the opposite of what you want on a Cinewhoop. On a Cinewhoop, all that matters is smoothness, so you want motors that are as smooth as possible. Yeah, you're gonna really want to go to the 2203, 2204 motors. I actually do have a set that I'm selling that I only put like 5 or so batteries on. Yeah, somebody had said they wanted them, but then I didn't get a message. So yeah, if Cody, if you want these 2203, they're marked 2203, but these are actually the new ones, which are 2204s, and these are the 4S KV, which is 3450, which is what you want. You want to run 4S, not 6S. So yeah, if you want these or anybody else, just message me at CiottiFPV on Instagram or Facebook, and they're all yours. I'm going to charge you damn near what they are new, though, because they're fresh. Like, I literally only put 5 batteries on them on a Cinewhoop, so they never took a single hit. Also, RC and Power 1202 7500 kV motors, 3 of them. If anybody needs 3 of these 1204s, let me know. And I think that's about all I've got that's sitting around here on the desk that I want to find a new home for. Get in there, motor wire. Get in there. There we go. Let me know, friends. Dave Pencilgwin says, does CiottiFPV play drums? I didn't know. Yeah, drums were actually my earliest, like, sort of hobby, obsession, whatever. At like 9 years old, I started playing drums, and my parents... My mother worked at the college in New Jersey. At the time, it was called Trenton State College up in New Jersey, and she worked in the music department. She was friends with one of the instructors, a guy by the name of Tony DiNicola, very famous jazz drummer, and they were friends, and Tony gave me free private lessons every Saturday for years and years and years and years and years. And yeah, I played drums through elementary, middle, high school, and college. And then, as you do, just completely stopped. I didn't play for most of my I don't think I played at all in my 20s. At some point in my 30s, I got into African drumming, djembe, doon-doons, at an amazing drum circle in Charleston. And I had a blast doing that. Until that place that was hosting it closed down. And I hadn't played since then until a couple weeks ago, actually. Patrick, one of the local pilots, and his buddy Aaron, Aaron, play guitar and bass, and they had a drum set. Patrick's wife's drum set, actually. And I went and jammed out for a night. That was a blast. It was admittedly, it was frustrating because I hadn't sat down on a drum set in 20 plus years, literally 20 plus years. So I was a little rusty, which, you know, is just unacceptable. Like, you know, I was once good, so if I'm not just as good, then I'm a total failure. But it was still fun. Family Guyver says, you know a lot about suspension. You know a lot about suspension. Great knowledge. Yeah, I've said it before. If you guys think I know a lot about FPV, compared to cars and chassis dynamics and suspension dynamics and shit, and just driving dynamics in general, I've got more than twice as much of my life devoted to cars, and yeah. It was a big part of my life. Unfortunately, it's really tough to make any money with cars as a hobby. But it's fun. RC Ritter says, be a cool live intro to your streams, 1 minute drum up to flight footage. That would be fun. Yeah, I do want to get Gem Fan Hobbies in the house. Talking smack already. It would be fun to get back into it's very time consuming though. So I don't know if it's realistic, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens in 2022. JVFPV says, better for grass crashes. Being kind regarding the durability of a friend's frame design inadvertently coins a new category of quadcopter. To be honest, like it's just me being realistic. Like the arm design is very strong in like all directions, up, down, forward, backwards, and in rotation. It's stronger in all of those orientations. So Bob's new frame, the arms are going to be stronger than a single thick arm, until you smash into something that hits the arm, and then it's going to be a lot weaker. And with freestyle crashes, that tends to happen a lot. This is a lesson that I learned with the Acrobrat. I flew the Acrobrat a lot for the better part of 2 years, probably more than 2 years. And the one thing, the reason that I don't have an Acrobrat put together right now is I got tired of breaking the front part of the A-arm on the Acrobrat. Because yeah, when you hit a metal pole, when you hit a branch really hard, when you hit a curb really hard, when you hit anything, you know, when you've got an A-arm design, you've taken the main chunk of carbon and cut it in half, so that front piece is half as strong, and so it's just gonna break. And I crash constantly, and I crash into stuff that on the Acrobrat frame broke that front part of the A-arm a lot. I mean, like 5 or 6 or 7 V2s, probably 3 or 4, maybe even 5 of the V1s. So yeah, just for me, the way that I crash, the split arm design just doesn't work for me. But grass crashing is a perfect example, right? Like crashing into the grass, it's a ton of force, right? Like you can very easily break an arm crashing in the grass because like the end of the arm will dig in and it really loads the arm up with a lot of force as the quad starts tumbling, or if it really just digs in. The A-arm design will do really well there because the angle is opened up, so it's actually going to have a better angle to send some of that energy into the body of the rig. So yeah, it's hard to like describe. I'm constantly trying to figure out a better way to explain that. Grass crashes are the only way that I've been able to like, you know, put that into just a couple words. Ruby Tim says y'all need to hit that like button for CiottiFPV. Thank you, brother. Click buttons, or not. Do what you want. Air braking quad shirt works, Family Guyver says. Air braking. That's an interesting idea. Grizz FPV with a $10 super chat. He says, thanks, CiottiFPV. Going to grab me some. You're certainly welcome, Grizz. You're going to love them. Bob Noxious says, I run blackout lights on the Vic. Oh, boy. Can you see at night? Wait, no. What do you mean blackout lights? You mean like the housings are blacked out? Bob? Hey, I spent hours and hours today getting all caught up on shipping. This room is cleaner than it's ever been, I think. And man, it feels good. I want to keep this momentum of like building and fixing and shit going, because that'll continue to clean this room up, and it's helping me. Like mentally, it's helping me. When this room is a huge disaster, I have a tendency to like not want to come in here. So like I'll be out on the couch, like I'll work on the laptop, which is fine because when I'm working on the laptop, I get editing done. But I need to be coming in here more. And yeah, I realized that if I keep it clean in here, I'm much more willing to come in here and sit down at the bench, not while streaming, and get some work done. So it's been really good. JVFPV says, I was pricing some Ohlins, but I would need a second mortgage. Ohlins are pretty good. The only problem with Ohlins is they typically don't have enough droop travel. Also, in some cases, Ohlins are arguably a little overpriced. But their valving is great. And they do make a great product. I think they should just charge a little bit less for it. And in the applications that I've seen, yeah, they suffer not having enough droop travel because they make a little bit. They're a bigger company, so they make the body of the shock a little bit more universal. And then they can do a bunch of different mounts for a bunch of different cars. Whereas if you don't try to, if you make the shock specific for the car, you can have more droop travel because you don't have like a universal setup to have different different mounting setups on the bottom for different chassis and different platforms. But again, let's talk about FPV instead of cars so that you guys don't all run away. B-Man FPV says, check your email, sent you a shirt idea for breaking quads. Awesome, B-Man. I'll check it tonight for sure. JVFPV says, are the Ethics flat rats notchy? I don't think that they're notchy, but they're not a good motor. They're not a good motor size, basically. They're a 1507, I think. They might be a 1408. Regardless, either one of those sizes are the wrong size. You want a 2004 or a 2204 or a 2203 for any kind of a Cinewoop. They perform 1,000 times better than 1507, 1408, blah, 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 blah. JVFPV says that frame design is pretty cool. The A-frame is 2 separate pieces. Did you see that? I did. Previously, Bob was gonna have a third piece that held the a third piece of carbon that held the two A-arms together, but he ditched that, which is super interesting, and he's just gonna rely on the motor base, which I think is a really cool idea. I'm really curious about that new frame, but I know that it's not going to work for me, so yeah, I'm not going to do it. If he comes out with like a 7-inch version of it, then I would be interested, because a 7-inch rig is not going to get crashed, and I am interested in having a more efficient high-speed setup, but it'll be a while, so I don't know, we'll see. JT Custom Knives says, with your experience, maybe you can tell me why my 70 Chevy C10 truck drives like a boat. Talk about bouncy, lol. Bouncy, so yeah, I mean, it's suspension is a lot easier than than you'd actually believe. If you push down on a car, if you push down on, so you do this on each corner. You go right above the wheel well and you push down. And the body of the car should go down from you pushing it, and then it should come back up because you're going to let go. So it should go down, up, stop. It shouldn't go down, up, down, up, down, up. There should be no bounce there. If there is bounce there, the shocks are either old and the valving is shot, or the spring rate is too high for the amount of shock valving that you've got. If you're on stock springs, basically your shocks are old and shot to shit. You can just get a new set of shocks. If you want something that's going to perform really good, Coney Yellows, single adjustables, or even the Coney Yellow non-adjustables are the best bang for your buck in terms of getting more than stock valving, which will work really nicely on a stock spring. And then if you do an aftermarket spring that lowers it a little bit, it'll work there as well. Don't do the Coney STR-Ts, which are usually orange. Those are no good. H&R also has good shocks that are non-adjustable. The Coneys are kind of fun. The Coney yellows are fun because they're single adjustable, which is you can adjust the rebound stroke. That's what she said. And that's the adjustment that you want to be making. I actually stay away from double adjustables because adjusting the compression stroke is much more confusing than just adjusting the rebound stroke. And there's a big price difference. So, but yeah, if your car's, but like, perfect example, if you hit a speed bump and it doesn't just like if you hit a speed bump and the car kind of bounces at all, like, and what's nice about speed bumps is you hit it with the front wheels and then you can see if the front shocks are blown up, and then you hit it with the rears, so you can really tell if there's a fully blown shock in either the front or the rear. Even when you hit the speed bump on the front, it is gonna bounce. You have to like notice if it bounces more on one side than the other. But yeah, there you go. Jay Drones with a £5 super chat. He says, thanks for your help in the past with everything, for swaying me in the right direction with gear and cheering me up when I've been low. Thanks, Ben. You're certainly welcome, Jay. Thanks for supporting the madness. RC Ritter says you would only need to replace half an arm then, though, right? I guess that's true. Yeah, I guess that's true. You would just have to replace the front part of the arm, which would be a lot nicer than replacing the entire... The thing that killed me with the Acrobat is it was a solid base plate, so I'd have to replace the entire base plate, which was a nightmare. So, yeah. Gamma Gonad says, at least with Bob's frame, you can just replace the front part of the arm, unlike the Acrobat, and then you more likely to fly back. We'll let you know when I break one. Very cool. Bob Noxious says, yes, the housing, the taillights are painted with only slits of light coming out. Very cool. Yeah, painting the housings black is definitely the way to go. B-Man FPV with a $5 super chat. He says, bro, check it out. Take a second. Blah, blah, blah. I thought YouTube was about to do the thing, so I was reading it as fast as I could. Alright, let's see if this works. That's pretty dope. I'm into that. Alright, we might do something with that. How do I get this to... Come on, open! Computer! Really? Oh my god, you dirty bastards. Open with. Preview. There we go. There it is. Nice. I dig it. We gotta do something with that. We gotta do something with that for sure. Nice view, man. I dig that, man. That's super dope. Bob Noxious says, Riot 9, I run 3.5 on 1507s, and CiottiFPV, there you go. 1507 Life killing it on 3.5. Yeah, 1507 would be good on a 3.5-inch prop. It's a bit much for 3-inch, for sure. Man, it's a lot for 3-inch. Jesus. Gamma Gonad says it does have a sandwich plate under the arm spars. Does it? Okay, cool. So that was the original. That was the original design that Bob had sent me way long ago. I was pretty shocked when I didn't see that little plate under there. I was like, wow, okay, that's a lot. Hey, look at that. All right, cool. Caught up. Let's get some goddamn work done. I really need to get this rig done. It's 11 o'clock already. Probably not going to get it done tonight, but that's okay. I'm going to probably work on this during the day tomorrow. That means that there's a chance that there'll be a Patreon-only stream tomorrow, or I got to be honest, like, working on quads while not on the stream is a lot easier, and it's a lot more enjoyable. Like, I love you guys and all, but yeah, working on rigs during the stream is tough. I absolutely love you. I adore you guys, but yeah, it's just a lot. Like I don't just want to sit here and work. Like, the whole point is for you guys to be here hanging out with me. So I'm gonna modify this to pull this ground off that I don't think I'm gonna need. I hope to hell that I don't need. A couple of you guys said that I'll be okay, and I think that I've talked myself into it as well, so we gonna find out. Okay, soldering iron is coming up to temperature, and cool, yeah, so I need to get this going first because this is gonna get VHB down here. So I just need to get this all ready, and then we can put the ESC on top, get that soldered down, blap the motors on, and I also need to keep going over here building this cable. I gotta get this, oh, for Christ's sakes, I need a red wire here as well. So let me get this back out for a second, and come on! Open up, you filthy whore. There we go. I need a yellow wire, and I think I'm just going to rob it from this. This looks like a pretty standard little cable, so I will cannibalize that and steal the yellow wire out of it. Soldering iron is good to go at 700 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's clean the tip a little bit and see if I can pull just this negative lead without removing the shrimp wrap. Let's see. Just gonna try to like sneak the tip of the soldering iron in here to heat. Hey, wow, okay, that worked staggeringly well. That was easy. Jesus, okay, cool. So we've just got the positive lead coming off there. Should be okay. We're gonna figure it out together. So yeah, let's get this guy down first. I know exactly where I want it to go. It's gonna sit right there like that, and then the positive lead. Wait a second, let me think about this. This is powering that. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take this shrink wrap off anyway, because I want to solder this directly to the plug header. That'll be a little bit cleaner. So yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna cut this shrink wrap off because I need to get to the positive pad on this, and I don't want to do it all janky like I just did. So I didn't need to do that, but whatever. It was a fun little adventure. Okay, so the shrimp wrap is coming off here. What's going on in the chat? Blitz FPV, it's 6 a.m. and he can't sleep. I got nothing for you, Blitz. I got the same issue, man. JVFPV says, you should just film your quad work repairs. You could narrate over the video later if patrons wanted something to watch. I don't really have a good way of doing that, unfortunately. This computer is so goddamn old that it has trouble. It has trouble with that. And sometimes it is nice to just have a little bit of like zen me time. You know, I get a lot less frustrated working on quads when I can just like throw some music on and kind of jam out. When I get the M1 Mac, I'll be able to run OBS in 1080, and then I'll be able to do shit like that. But for right now, OBS will really only handle 720, and it just looks like I mean, you guys know. You're looking at it right now. It looks like hell. It's acceptable because it's a live stream, and you kind of expect that. But like when I watch Jimmy Broadbent's live streams, I'm like, holy fuck, it looks so good. Because he streams in... Christ, I think he might stream in 2.7. I'm not totally sure, though. Don't quote me on that. Alright, so the positive lead, I'm going to solder up directly to the cable that I'm going to pull out of here, which I'm going to put into this, which is going to plug into the TBS 5-volt Unify. So let's thieve this red wire here, which is second to last. And I'm also going to steal the yellow wire out of here. And I'm going to steal the blue wire as well. We're going to use blue for telemetry. I'm sorry, for smart audio, rather. So let's get this going. All right, here comes the blue. And here comes the yellow. Oh, I lifted that little plastic flap up a little bit too much there. And all right, so we're good. Let me take a quick look at the plug header. So when the pins are upwards, it's like that. And then let me look at the instruction manual over here on the computer. B-Man says you can always play little background tunes. That's true. Here you guys go. I pay for Epidemic Sound, and then I forget that I have it. All right, there we go. Oh, I need to, if I'm gonna do this though, I need to get this one speaker is right on top of the microphone. I gotta just make sure it's mixing properly. Okay, so I need you guys to let me know if the mix is okay, if you guys can hear me over the music. BlitzFPV says, do you think that being a drone operator can be a full-time gig? I have an opportunity to do my license for free and be offered a full-time position. What do you think? My hunch is it's maybe a little too early. The guys that have been able to make it a full-time gig are like the Michael Jordans. So for us mortals, I think maybe it's a little early. But I could totally be wrong. It's all about like just getting that opportunity, getting that gig. I mean, like what I always think about is like is there enough opportunity, basically? So I mean, if it's a company that has gigs that are constant, then yeah, absolutely. But I think it feels to me like we're still kind of struggling to figure that out, struggling to figure out like where FPV fits in the filmmaking world, and like what it can do really, really, really well, without becoming like kind of played out, basically. So I want to say yes because it's what I want to do. It's also going to be pretty location specific. Like you got to be in a location where there are those gigs. There are those gigs available. But yeah, I think if it's not today, it'll be like next year. I think next year FPV is really going to come into its own. And yeah, I think that the opportunities for full-time FPV work are going to be there. At least I hope so. I really hope to move towards being a full-time cinematic pilot next year. That's really the dream that I've been kind of pushing towards forever. I've always put a lot of emphasis on the flying part of this hobby to get as good as I possibly can on the sticks, so that I can get paid to fly. And I've and I feel like I'm pretty close. I feel like this summer I learned a lot and met a lot of the right people, and hopefully I can turn that into something next year. And you guys will know as soon as I do, because I'm bringing you along for the ride, whether you like it or not. So stay tuned, motherfuckers. Because some shit's gonna be going down. I'm really gonna be going for it next year. So stick with me, and I'll give you all the tips and tricks I possibly can along the way. So I'm just trying to figure out how long to cut this. I'm going to give it a little bit of extra. So I think right about there is going to be good. What I would say though is make sure that you don't underpay yourself. Understand that FPV pilots are very, very, very few and far between. So yeah, we can ask for money, you know. $1,000 day rate is the minimum that we're trying to charge. I've talked to Tommy and Cricket and a couple other guys about this, and yeah, basically we all keep saying, like, don't charge less than $1,000 day rate. Like, let's not all cannibalize the fucking work and you know, have this race to the bottom. Let's charge what we're worth, and then we can all make, you know, the appropriate amount of money for how rare and for how, you know, much work that we've all had to put into this to kind of get to this point, right? So yeah, definitely don't undervalue yourself. Because yeah, they're really kind of not gonna find somebody else. So let's solder this up to the positive pad here real quick, and then I can get this thing wrapped up again, and VHB to the bottom plate, and we'll be one step closer. Alright, get a little bit of solder on the tip here. Yeah, I think there are a lot of uses for FPV that we haven't even figured out yet, which is one of the reasons why I think that there's going to be plenty of work for all of us before we realize it. I hope. I really, really, really hope. Because, yeah, I mean, even the people that are like, oh, I suck at flying, like, you really don't. Like, if you can get the damn thing, if you can build one of these things and get it up in the air and not just constantly crash, and even if you do constantly crash, maybe you're still good. Yeah, it's a really big deal. And, like, you know, we compare ourselves to the guys on YouTube, and, you know, like, when you compare yourself to, like, one of the 100 best in the world, yeah, of course you're not going to be, of course you're going to be like, oh, I suck. But yeah, I mean, that's crazy, you know? Got to be a little more realistic than that. I'm afraid you guys can't hear me, so I'm going to turn this down a little bit. RC Ritter, yeah, we do, man. RC Ritter says, shit, we need an FPV union. Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of what we're doing, you know, that's why we're just communicating, all of us. Blitz FPV says, I've heard you should charge a half-day/day rate instead of hourly, seeing as you can be sitting for hours doing nothing except getting ready. Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the gig. What you definitely want to do if you're going to do hourly is charge a whole bunch of money for the first hour, because you need to cover your travel, you need to cover all the setup, right? You just tell them that like it takes a lot of time to set your drone up for their specific job, and you got to charge all the batteries and shit too, right? And you got to charge anything that anything that breaks, you know what I mean? Anything that needs to be repaired, like you ain't doing that shit for free. So yeah, like for hour number one, in my opinion, you want to charge like $400-500, and then your hourly rate can go down after that, like maybe $100 an hour after that. But yeah, that first hour you want to make sure you get some money. And what's nice about that is, then you can come out, fly, and leave, right? And still make a good amount of money, and you're not sitting around all day, which is really nice. So that's one approach. I don't know if that's the right approach, but that's definitely one approach. So I would absolutely not do an FPV gig for less than like $300 or $400 though, under no circumstances. Even if you're only flying for 20 minutes. We're just too rare, you know? We're just too rare, and you know, we're putting hundreds of dollars of gear in risk. You know, like if you wreck your rig, they're not gonna fucking cover that. And again, yeah, we're very rare. But what's interesting is, like, there is no, you know, like, we're all just making it up as we go along. There is no, like, right or wrong way to do it. So if you choose to do it differently, you know, you might be doing it, maybe we're all doing it the wrong way. And maybe if you do it differently, you'll be doing it the right way. So no matter what you do, yeah, we're sort of forging our own path here just because it's such a new thing. So if you want to try something different, that's actually kind of great. Because then, yeah, we can all learn from it. The only situation that I would work for less than that, or potentially even for free, is if it's like, if there's no other way, and if it's going to be like a really good portfolio piece, and if you're like really interested in doing it, like when I go and fly the drift cars, that doesn't pay, but it's super fucking fun, and it's really good to have in your reel. So, especially when you're getting started, sometimes you do have to suck it up and work for less, work for free. But I mean, like, you got to get past that ASAP, and start charging what you're worth. It is important for all of us. Okay, so I turned the audio down a little bit, so I think we'll be a little bit better now. Blitz FPV says, literally just watched that with my sleep deprivedness. Red Notice's opening shot was amazing. Yeah, I'm gonna watch Red Notice one of these nights. Johnny's got a whole shitload of flying in there. JV says no mods in the chat at all. Do we need mods? Is something happening? B-Man says, if Flow State goes to Netflix, we might not be so rare for very long. Yeah, it's true. It's going to get popular. How could it not? Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely get popular initially, but then a lot of people will quit. This is not... FPV is just not for the masses. I think that it'll definitely get us more people, but I think we'll see a lot of people jump ship pretty quickly when they realize how much work it is, and how I mean, it's kind of crazy that any of us do this, and I think most people will see that pretty early on and be like, nah, I can't do that. That's ridiculous. And these motors are disgusting. I am going to pull these motors off. I'm going to build it right now with these motors, but then I am going to be pulling these motors off at some point in favor of either the... Initially, I'm going to put the axis motors on to see if they do the same weirdness on this build as the other builds. And then if they do, I actually don't know what motors I'm going to go to. I'll figure it out though. So this is good to go. I'm going to plug this in to the VTX. And we're going to move on to the ESC. Get in there, you bastard. As a reminder, patrons, you've got a fresh Patreon-only edit to watch on the Patreon-only YouTube playlist here. It's also, I dropped the link over on the Patreon page, so you can get at it there as well if you don't have the Patreon-only playlist bookmarked here on the YouTube. God damn it. I got this plugged in, but the wire's not routed right. There we go. Now we're talking. Okay. And get back in there, you little shit. I watched a bunch of Jimmy Broadbent's live stream today, which was amazing. He was playing Forza Horizon 5, I guess it is, with his SemiCube setup and having a good old time. So that was really fun to watch. Let me just kick on the jams again here. Alright, cool. Orga A says he was told by a guy in the RC stores that the lipo protective pouches bags don't really work because the stitches get burned and it opens completely. Should we only use metal boxes? Orga, Flight Test has a video from years ago where they tested the lipo bags and they worked amazingly well. So yeah, I trust the Kevlar bags. Remy Tim says, yeah, we're in here. We just lurking in the shadows, only monitoring when needed. You mentioned us and we come out in droves. Thanks, guys. All right. Caught up again. Awesome. Xenakis is in the house. What's up, Nevin? There we go. Okay, cool. The guys at the RC shop, those guys are using big ass batteries a lot of times, so maybe that's why they're not having a good experience with them. Because the big batteries will shoot fire for a lot longer than our little tiny fuckers. So that would be my guess as to why they're not fans of those bags. All right, cool. ESC goes down, and we're gonna have a little bit of a moment here and see if I fucked up with this capacitor placement. So this capacitor placement definitely won't work with the camera that was on here, which is a Runcam Micro Eagle. But I've been moving all of my rigs over to these Foxeer Toothless Nano Starlight cameras, and I just bought a couple more, and I'm hoping, I'm going to put one of them in here, and I'm hoping that it'll be small enough. So let's have a look. If this doesn't work, I'm kind of assed out a little bit. I'm gonna have to remove this. I'm gonna have to remove this capacitor and put it in here a different way. And I'd really rather not. I'm really hoping that this works. I think it will. I think this is gonna give me enough room. But let's take a look here. Leadfinger says, "What's the weight of a 3-inch basher frame? Just carbon and standoffs." Hell, man, I don't know. I mean, there's so many different frames. It's hard to answer that. What are you trying to build, Led? Like, are you trying to build a basher 3-inch? If you're trying to build a basher 3-inch rig, personally, I like the idea of the Ripsqueak frame with the 3.2 millimeter arms, and then the X-Nova 1804s. I have a feeling that's the best 3-inch basher setup. B-Man says, finishing up Squirt V2 tomorrow, T-Motor F7 stack, 20x20, Zing 2205, 2300 kV, motor limit, or good to go on that. 2205, 2300 kV, 6S. Yeah, you'll probably need a motor limit. Bring the motor limit down to like 80% for the Maiden, see how it is. The Ripsqueak frame is going to be about 30 grams, I want to say. Maybe a little more than that. Blitz FPV says, lipo bag is better than no bag. Think of it like this. Yeah, very much so. Sure, you can pull out, but why risk it? Might end up with a burnt house or a diverse house settlement. Oh, shit. Alright, let's see. Oh yeah, we're gonna be just fine. The only thing the other thing that I'm afraid of is that there's gonna be a bunch of standoff or TPU or something in view because this camera is so goddamn small. Being a Cinewoop though, I could probably mount this camera in front of the front standoff. Oh, I need different camera mounts. I forgot about that. Yeah, if I have too much shit in view, I can probably flip the camera mounts around, put the camera out in front of the front standoffs, and I'll probably be okay because the front ducts will protect the camera from bumping into shit. If I send something down the middle, yeah, it'll smash the camera, but with a Cinewoop, yeah, you're not typically doing that. So let's get some different camera mounts going here. These guys are not gonna work. Let's see what we got going on in here. I need these guys. I think I only have them in red at the moment. Let's dig around a tiny little bit. Yeah, just in red, which is fine. Okay. So let's see what's what here. Get in there. Leadfingers wants to get 3-inch arms cut for a 5-inch race quad. Swap between them, 67 grams with 5-inch arms. That's interesting. I never thought of that. What's the thought process behind that? Like, why not just do a separate frame, I guess would be my main question. Alright, nice and low, up tilt. I gotta remember that. I gotta remember that this is a low up tilt. I have a tendency to put FPV cameras at a 30-degree angle, but for a Cinewoop that makes no sense. Alright, and here we go. Get this guy cranked down. Okay. Alright. There we go. That looks pretty good. Well, here we go. Let's see. And you know, the lens does stick out. I think we're going to be totally fine here. I think this is going to be completely fine with this camera. But let's take a closer look. Come on. Yeah, you're a right old fucker. I could go to... I've been meaning to go to lower standoffs, slightly lower. Is this my chance to do that? This is on 30s right now, and with those stand ducts, I should be able to come down. I think I'm just gonna leave it though, because it's hard to get these standoffs out of here. Man, no, I would like to differentiate these a little bit. Let me see what I got in the way of standoffs here. So what are these? Are these the 28s? Let's see. Yeah, this is the 28, right? Yeah, this is a 28. So I should be able to do this, but I don't appear to have enough of the damn things. I have two red. I have 2 purple. No, I have 3 red. What the hell? Why do I have 3 red? I have 2 black and 2 purple. So what I'll do is... I'll put... what's up, Dan636? 661 says, what do you think of a Ripsqueak V2 4-inch arms, 3.5-inch props? So the props fit without hitting the TPU. Will the arms be too long? Arms won't be too long. 661, Rob Oxerson is working on camera mounts that'll work. So just give a little bit more time. RR just posted ducted 5-inch drone. Oh boy. Leadfinger says the guts of a 3-inch basher and 5-inch race quad are the same as long as you don't want HD footage. Ah, very true. And if I smash my race quad, I have a backup ready in 10 minutes. That's a cool idea. I totally dig that. Yeah, it's funny. The internals are exactly the same. Good thinking. I like that. Oh. Ooh, nice. I can just use this little guy. Beautiful. Plug that right into there, and we'll be good to go. Do I change the standoffs? Yes. I'm gonna change them. I'm gonna put these purples in the front, and the reds in the back, and the blacks in the middle. And this is gonna be a 28mm Cinesplore. World's first. Most importantly, though, I need to open up a tab and put 28mm standoffs because I need to have extras. So that means I have to order from them, which I don't love, but whatever. So let me just do a quick search for 28mm, and there we go. All right, cool. Just need to have a little reminder for myself. Good to go. Let me go to ambient, most popular, and we'll keep the jams coming. Good to go. All right. So let's kick this off. Well, no, we might as well just pop the standoffs, and then I'll just pull them out of the camera mounts. Well, this is exciting. Wait, no. I'm not gonna do this. Because if I do this, I can't run the cloud ducts. Yeah, nope, not changing the standoffs, not changing the standoffs, not changing the standoffs, not changing the standoffs. I remember I had this, I went through this already in my head. And, yeah. If I go to these 28 mil standoffs, I won't be able to run the cloud ducts ever again, and I want to be able to run those cloud ducts because I seriously think that they are better for indoor stuff because they're so much taller and slower. So let me put this shit away. God, that's funny. Yeah, I already had this like conversation in my head. I was really close to switching, but then I remembered. Maybe I'll put the. You know what I'll do? This rig is gonna stay on the 30s because this is the main rig, and if I need to use the cloud ducts, I would be using them on this rig because this is the one with the 5-degree up tilt mount. What I'll do is, Jesus. What I'll do is on the other rig, which has the 15-degree mount, I'll switch the standoffs. Because that's sort of the higher speed rig anyway, right? Since it's got the 15-degree mount on it. So for that rig, it makes sense to never really run I'll probably never run the cloud ducts on that rig because of that extra up tilt, you know? So that rig will be on the smaller standoffs because I'll pretty much only ever run that rig on lower profile ducts than the cloud 149s. So there we go. Yeah, that's going to be totally fine. Look at the lens is sticking out just enough there, and it absolutely clears the capacitor, and there's even a little bit of extra room up on top. So, fucking A, right. That's rad. FPV Trucker says, have you seen the duct kit for the 3-inch apex to make it a Cinewoop? I have, FPV Trucker. If that frame wasn't so heavy, it would make a little bit more sense. But I mean, converting it back and forth seems like kind of a pain in the ass. And then, yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like I gotta actually take this off, and that's gonna be hard because these fit really tight. Yeah, I don't know. I thought when I saw that little kit, I was like, oh man, that's like really, really interesting. But then when I thought through it, and it's been a couple weeks now. I don't really remember where my mind was at, but in the end, I ended up thinking, yeah, that's not really for me. But if you're only going to have one micro, it is kind of interesting. And I would love to see one fully built to see what it weighs. But I have a feeling it's going to be really heavy because that mini Apex frame has big, thick 4mm arms. So yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be kind of heavy, which you don't want on a Cinewoop. So yeah, I don't know. It's. I love that they made that. I really do. But I don't know. I don't quite know. All right, so I'm gonna get these guys soldered down first here, and then I'll put the battery lead on top of them. No, I'm gonna put the battery lead on first. Because there's a chance that this 5-volt regulator will blow up at some point, and I want to be able to easily remove it. So this guy's going to come out this side, but I'm worried that this is going to be too short, as we've been talking about. realistically, that's going to need to sit there and run like that. Nah, it should be long enough. It should be okay. Nah, that's stupid though. I'm not going to set myself up for it being too short on a rig that's going to get used a lot. So let's go with this one. I'll cut this one down a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit... Well, no, it's fine. That's fine. Yeah, so let me cut this considerably longer than this guy. And what I want it to be longer, the positive. Positive is going to be a little bit longer. All right, cool. So we'll cut the positive up here, let's say. And then so this way it can run over and up. And yeah, if I need to push it down, I can up. That's good. I like that. Cool. So if this guy is over here, just try to figure out how long the negative needs to be. Roughly there. Cut it right there. All right. Let's strip it, tin it, and solder it down. Dan636 says the micro apex flies so good though. Yeah, it's partially because of the weight, I think. Partially because the arms are so thick. They're going to gobble up a lot of the vibrations, be nice and solid. I actually don't like how thick those arms are, though. It's going to put a lot of stress on the motors. Sort of the dirty little secret of really strong arms is that shit rolls downhill, and so if the arms are really strong, the motors are going to become the weak point, and you're going to start breaking a lot more motors, and motors are a lot more expensive to replace and a lot harder to replace than arms. So I prefer to actually have a rig where the arm is the weak point, so that the arm breaks. And a lot of times when that happens, it saves the motor. And I'd rather replace a couple dollar arm than a $20+ motor. But I'm starting to play around with building slightly heavier micros, so that frame is still sort of on my radar. There we go. That's a little bit better. Alright, so let's get these tinned up first here. And then we'll get them onto the ESC. Put the tip of the soldering iron below the wire. Tin the tip of the soldering iron, put it below the wire. That's going to put heat into the strands. And then you want to push the solder through the strands from the top. This way you're making sure that you get solder in between the strands of wire. Same thing. You can add a little bit of solder to the corner between the tip and the exposed bit of wire, just to get the heat transfer kind of going. But then as quickly as you can, as early as you can, you want to start putting solder directly onto the into the strands of wire. J Drone says, is there a short saver for 1S? I don't think so. Firefly is 2S only, you can't use XT30. It's a good question, J Drones. I don't think so. I don't think there is. Anderson says there's also the Tooth Fairy 2, which has 5-inch arms or 3-inch ducted arms. No shit. I didn't even realize that. Did not even realize that. That'd be an interesting little build. All right, here we go. Let's get this soldered on. I'm just going to do this off outside of the rig. Just because, why not? So we're going to put the negative on first, and I should be able to do it by hand. Let's got a little bit of flux going here. This is a big pad, and it's the ground pad. So let's get this flux the fuck up. And I'm even going to put some flux on the tips of the wires here as well. Alright, away we go. So we'll go negative first. And I'm just going to get it basically flat like this. Tin the tip a little bit, clean the tip, then tin the tip. And here we go, transferring heat into the wire initially. And the pad is starting to flow. And not quite there. There it goes. Pad is flowing. Give it another second. And that's not what I wanted to happen. I have to do a little dance there. That's the stuff. There we go. Alright, good looking little joint there with a nice little spot to put the wire from the external 5-volt regulator. Now we're going to move on to the positive lead here. Positive lead is ever so slightly too long. I could trim it down a little bit, but I think instead, I think once I make the corner, it's actually going to like to have a little bit of this extra length, so I'm just going to go like this and leave this little bit of extra length here and just mash this thing down. Alright, pad is melting, not yet, almost. There it goes. Solder on the pad is starting to melt. And there it is. Fully melted. Make sure the wire is in the right spot. And there we go. Hold it still. Family Guyver says, what's a good freestyle 4-inch frame in your opinion? I mean, that... I guess I think the Apex Mini, but like, why? Why do a 4-inch freestyle build? It's gonna be a rig that's like kind of too floaty, unless you're looking to carry a DJI action too. Just don't crash, bro. June Loco says, let's go crash the TBS Lounge live stream. Are they streaming too? Those bastards. How dare they? How dare they? Okay, this is going to be a little bit more difficult than I thought. I thought this would be easy getting this negative lead in here, this ground in here, but it's gonna be a little bit of a chore. I think I'll be okay though. I should have maybe put the ground lead on from this external 5-volt reg before I put this positive lead, but I could probably get it. Let's get it in here, see what's what. It'll only take like a second's worth of heat to get it in there, so I think we'll be okay. All right. And let's grab it like this. And we're going to sneak it on in there. Like that. Well, actually, no. I'll put it up on the front like that. Farts. Come on. Yeah, I'll just leave it like that. Yeah, this will be fine. This will be fine. It ain't gonna be the prettiest, but it's gonna get the job done for sure. Tending the tip of the iron, and now I'm just gonna come down here kind of vertical and just tack it on. I'm not gonna flow the whole joint, but I'm gonna flow enough of it where this is nice and strong. Hey, perfect. Perfect. And now I'm going to take the positive lead, loop it up over top here, and put it at a 90 on this pad. Because that's the kind of guy that I am. Okay, put it up here on top of the wire. And this will be nice and strong. Right there. There we go. Perfect. You're gonna love the way you look. Have you recognized that? I felt all the way in love the other day when Maggie recognized that from an old fucking commercial. It's really cool that Maggie is a couple years older than me, and she like gets a lot of the boomer jokes that I make. Feels good, man. I gotta be honest, it feels good, guys. Yes, Preparation H does feel good on the whole. Yeah, I just want to make sure that there's enough solder on this wire. There we are. That's the stuff. Man, that's pretty. Look at that. Look how nice that turned out. What do you think of that? See it in there? Yeah. Men's Warehouse, B-Man got it right away, yeah. 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 Alright. So, we're all wired up. Now we just gotta throw the motors on. And then it's flight controller time. This went a lot smoother than I thought. But this did take some time. Because I'm changing a lot of stuff. I had hopes that I could just knock this out in a couple hours, but I mean, this is basically a full build to some extent. Not really, but you guys know what I mean. So I'm gonna go from back to front on the wires here, on the motor wires here, and yeah, let's just get it rolling. Flux up all these pads. And might as well throw some on this side while I'm thinking about it. Okay. Let's do it. Is that the right motor wire? Yes, it is. You guys want me to zoom a little bit more, or is this cool? I can do a little digital zoom on the Logitech. If you guys want to be a little bit closer, let me know. Tag me in the chat and let me know. Ooh, that one came out good. I was having a little bit of trouble with that one, but it came around. Okay. So this is an old school Acon AK32 pin 25 amp. This is the Acon that some people had issues with on 5-inch rigs. I mean, it's only a 25 amp. So, you know, kind of their fault for picking an under-spec'd. Although, I mean, back then, we just kind of didn't know. Compared to now, the amp ratings have gone kind of nuclear, which is good. Gives a little bit extra headroom. I mean, the 60 amp shit is a bit much, but you know, headroom is headroom. And you know, if at some point you take that rig and you put it onto big boy motors, you're going to be loving the fact that you've got a 60 amp ESC in there. So it sort of makes sense. Reinstalling an ESC is a bitch. So, but technically speaking, for a 5-inch Freestyle rig, you really only need a 35 amp. A good 35 amp ESC, like the Acon 30x30, is going to outlast a shitty 60 amp ESC. And it's going to fly better. Not by much, but ever so slightly. Because a good ESC will control noise a lot better. And there'll be a lot less electrical noise. And that potentially can allow you to run less filtering and just generally have a better flying rig. Okay. Get motor 2 all knocked out here. Just trying to get the motor wire flat. There it is. That's the stuff. And the last one here. Just gotta make a little bend. There we go. Tin the tip. Zap it down. I love when I ask you guys a question and then I don't look at the fucking chat for the answers. Frank Nicholas likes the current zoom. Apache says it's fine. Alright, so I'll leave it on. Zooming on your face as you solder. You don't want to see that. Go ahead. B-Man says, you know what commercials were amazing? Those direct TV ones where it was like, when you have cable you want to fake your own death. This man named Phil Shipley. Don't be Phil Shipley. Direct TV. Interesting. I don't know if I remember those commercials. Woo! Alright, here we go. Motors 1 and 2 are good to go. Time for motors 3 and 4. Let me take a quick look at these, though. Make sure nobody's bridged. Oh, yeah, we're good. Everything looks terrific. Yeah, so there's a chance that this ESC will actually blow up. I think it'll be fine, but there is definitely a chance that that this ESC is just bad. I suspect that it's not. I suspect that it's going to be totally fine, but yeah, I'm taking a little bit of a chance. I got it cheap, and it's made by Acon, so I'm hedging my bets that it'll be totally fine. And that the people that were having trouble with these on 5-inch Freestyle rigs were, you know, just bought an ESC that didn't have enough amperage. And in a Cinewoop application, that will not be an issue because I won't be bashing into stuff that creates backflow. And also, you know, a 2004 motor is nothing compared to a 2306 or a 2207. So yeah, we will see. All right. Oh man, this music is ambient as fuck. Am I right? Shit. This wire got a little too flattened out. Should be okay. As long as I keep this next one under control. Visually, this ESC looks exactly like the 35 amp from what I can remember. So, I can't imagine that there's, I would hope that there's not any issues. What the hell happened here? Why did that little wire try to sneak its little ass out of there? I will say that I wish these pads were a little bit farther apart. They're a little close together. But I mean, you don't have a ton of real estate with a 20x20. Alright, that's better. So maybe I'm asking for too much. But in a perfect world, yeah, there'd be a little bit more separation between these motor pads. But this world is far from perfect. So, you know, when you're buying cheap stuff, typically you don't get the best. I don't even remember where I got this from. But I don't know if I'd really recommend it because I have heard of problems with it. So, even if I did remember where I got it, I might not tell you guys. Well, that looks like shit. I did not get that wire up on the pad far enough for my impossible standards. So we're just gonna rework it real quick here. Alright, let me take it off. Actually kind of hard to get in here. Let me come from the other, come around like this. That's better. Much, much, much better. Okay. What the hell's going on here? Fight me a little bit. There we go. Cool. Yeah, it's I'm not in love with that, but whatever, it's fine. It's good enough. It's hard to hold the wires from this angle. This is kind of an awkward, a little bit of an awkward angle, but we're gonna make it work. As we always do about this time. Fuck, come on, get on there, you prick. Get on there, you little jerk. Let me actually try the grippier, thick boy tweezers. Oh yeah, that's the move right there. Way better. I don't have quite as much control over the wire though with these because I'm having to grab the wire farther down. I really like to grab the wire right up by the stripped bit, so I can really control exactly where it's sitting. That's not. It's not what I want. Oof, but that is. That came around just right. Alright, last one here. And grab it nice and tight. Oh, this is a funny angle. This is a rough angle here. That's what this is. Hold on. I'm going to need to get some solder on the very tip of the soldering iron for this one because I'm going to have to come in at a really steep angle. Hopefully that was enough. Alright, so I'm going to half tack it like that. And I'm going to come back in with the skinny tweezers. And I'm going to try to get this where I want it here. Which is right there. Nope. I want this wire down a little bit more. There we go. You guys probably can't see that because my hand's in the way, but I think that looks okay. No, that looks terrible. I gotta redo that one. I see it now. It's actually too far up on the pad. I need to get it, pull it off. There we go. There we go. Try to get it so that the insulation butts up, like if the wire's like this, if this is the end of the insulation and this is the strands of wire and this is the pad, try to get it like that. Try not to have it up like this. Try to get it so that the you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Corey H says, if I flip my FC upside down but I have the arrow pointing in the correct direction, will I need to make adjustments? Yes, absolutely, Corey. You'll have to tell it it's flipped over. Just bounce back and forth between that first screen and the configuration screen, and you'll get it. You'll get it rotated properly. J. Jones says you should talk softer and do an ASMR soldering stream. Alright, we're caught up again. Jesus Christ, it's after midnight already? What the hell? did that happen? Hold on, let me look at these with a loop. Oh yeah, we're fine. I'm just gonna ever so slightly chop this little bit off here. But we are good to go. That's all I wanted to do. Alright. That's just me being nitpicky, to be honest. Okay, cool. So the motors are hooked up. Let's put power to this and make sure that the ESC doesn't immediately grenade. Because, yeah, I've heard some weird shit about this ESC. I'm sure it'll be fine, but let's just make certain. And maybe this is where I'll leave it, and we'll do the flight controller tomorrow, I guess. Something like that. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Hey! So let's make sure all the motors are coming on. I can feel those two. So we're good to go with the ESC. Although, you know what? Let's put full power to it to make sure it doesn't explode. Well, so it's powering up the 5-volt BEC, and then that's just sending the positive to this. I think that's fine, right? Find out. Hey! Cool. Fuck around and find out, son. Cool. So, hey, how's the rest of that movie that Johnny flew in? Red something red? Red donkeys. Is the movie worth watching, or is it just the only reason to watch it the FPV shots? Cool. These guys are going to go up to the flight controller. We can at least... So we're going to put a Talon F7 with MPU 6000 gyro on it. Really good movie, Gamma Gonad says. Xenakis is out of here. Thanks for hanging, brother. Always good to see you up in here. Hope you're doing fucking amazing, my man. Why are these pads... Oh, this is the one that I bought off of eBay, I think. I thought it was brand new. Oh well, it's fine. Whatever. This better not be blown up. I didn't test it. I am going to clean up these pads. They're the pads... Whoever I bought this from, they did not get full coverage on the pads. They only tinned like half the pads, which looks ridiculous. So I'm just going to come in here and flick. Actually, you know what? I'm going to solder wick these. We're going to do it the way NASA does it, boys. We're going to... These are semi-tinned. We're going to come in and solder wick all the solder off, which will get full coverage on each pad. Which is why NASA does it this way, and then we're going to just tin the pads that we need. Oh, look at that! Wow, does that ever work? Jesus, that's rad. I've never actually done it before. That's pretty cool. Totally see why they do it this way now, even though it's a total pain in the ass. Okay, here we go. boy. Why'd that get so ugly? Whatever. Doesn't have to be pretty. Just has to work. Any other pads? No, we're good. Alright, so what the hell pads are we going to use? We are going to use video signal. So let's tin that one. We are also going to use... So the video signal, that's going to be in the rear. I don't think I'm going to use the video plus or minus pads. But I will tin them. Probably going to use the T1 for smart audio. And then we've got R1, which I will not be using, 5 volt and ground, and I will not be using those either. So then up on the front of the board, we've got camera plus, camera minus. I am going to use the camera plus, not going to use the camera minus. Well, maybe I am. I gotta figure out where I'm gonna ground the camera and VTX to. CS for camera signal, I believe, are gonna use that. And then we're gonna go T3, R3, 5 volt and ground. I'm gonna use all of those, I believe, for the receiver. Unless I use the bottom. No, no use. No, I'm not going to use the bottom. We'll do everything on top here. So let's tin the rest of these guys. 5 volt. Ground. I think what I'm going to use for the camera and VTX ground is this ground pad down here. I'm actually going to try something. One of the things that they do on these Talons is they have this one ground pad here with an indentation in it. Come on, motherfucker. So see that indentation and that ground pad there? I think what they've done there is, I think this is a common ground pad basically. So I think that I can put the camera on the camera ground and then the VTX on this ground, and I believe that this is connecting all of the different ground planes. I think this is one big, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? What do you guys think? Do you guys think that's what they did here? I'm going to take a gamble and assume that that's what they did. And I'm going to ground the VTX on this pad here and the camera on the camera ground pad. And hopefully we don't have noise. So wish me luck! And I think that's it. I don't really have anything else on here. It doesn't really make much sense to have GPS on a Cinewoop. So let's move forward. Get some. I swear to God, these Talons come in the least impressive boxes ever. Look beautiful bastards talking to each other in the chat. You guys are the best. I fucking love you guys. Okay. Since the ducts kind of cover everything up, I'm not going to use fancy colored standoffs on this. Sorry, not standoffs, grommets. Just going to use these boring black ones that it comes with. It's kind of annoying, you have to pop the little centers out of all these, but whatever, it takes 1 second. No big deal. Can you guys hear the ambient music at all? I don't think you can. Let me turn it up a little bit. There we go. That should be... Wow, okay, that one's all goobered up. Okay. So, let's... I think I'm just going to run this thing. I think I'm just going to run this flight controller with everything facing upwards. Should be okay. There's tons of room in this Cinesplore, so it's no sweat. It's going to be fine. Okay. I'll put all 4 of them in. I like to put the ones in that are right next to pads to make sure that that when I'm soldering the wire onto the pad, I don't obstruct where the grommet wants to go. So sometimes I'll just like put one grommet in, but in this case, both corners have pads right next to where the grommet's going to be. So fuck it, I'll just put all 4 of them in right now. Get it going. Okay, one more. Anybody building? What are you building? Tag me. At me, motherfucker. Man, I hope to hell that this, that I don't get video noise with this. But if I do, I'll have solved this little mystery of the strange-looking ground pad. And it'll also allow me to not have to put 2 wires on the same pad, which is always a fucking pain in the ass. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna mount it like this. And what did I have in the way of spacers? Was I really using rubber grommets as spacers? I'm not gonna do that anymore, because that's just silly. Didn't I say I was going to break for the night? Whatever. Fuck. I need to use the 5-volt on the back of the flight controller. That's fine. Let me just tin these 2 pads up real quick. The receiver wires are a little too short to reach the front, so I'll just use these 2 in the back here. It's fine. No reason not to. I All right, so let's do the VTX first. These are all nice and short. Wait, no, I need a little spacer action here. Let's see what we got. Oh, I know what I have. I have a bunch of these plastic bastards. This will be perfect. I have absolutely tons of these little M2 plastic risers, spacers, whatever the hell you want to call them. And, yeah. Let's use them. These all the same size. This one looks like it's a little bit longer. Is there a size difference between that one and that one? My God, why can't I tell? Am I fucking blind? I think they're the same. Yeah, they're the same. Okay, we're good. Okay. So, we're just gonna rock these guys down here. Drop the flight controller up on top and we'll be good to go. Ah, fuck, I have a set of them right over here. God damn it. What a dummy. I couldn't see them, they were like camouflaged in over there. Okay, yeah, alright, whatever. It's fine. Holy shit, the chat's all orange. Remy Tim says they call that cooking? What? Building some guacamole, oh my god. CiottiFPV says 5-inch power pick, F20 motors I won from Super Chat giveaway last week, very cool. Quad Yodi says also building a Cinesplore, very cool. What's the setup, Quad Yodi? Metal Dirksen says, instead I'm going to swap the race rigs over to ELRS, continue banishing FR Sky for my life forever. Gamma Gonad had 6 Talon F7s, 5 of them had the regulator burn out quickly, but I still have one that's lasted over a year. That one's been in the lake 2 times as well as snow, go figure. Gamma, what do you have pulling off of the 5-volt regulators? Kevin Sumner says, feeding the baby at the moment, Redux 32 ESCs day. Finally, 2 racing rigs, Switchback Pro, 533 motors, basic F, very cool. Yeah, Gamma, I'm trying to figure out if reducing the load on the 5-volt regulators is the key to keeping these Talons alive. Were you running VTXs off of them? By chance? I really hope this yeah, I need this flight controller to be reliable. I really do. Yeah. So, yeah, like on this build, for example, the only thing that's going to be pulling on the 5-volt regulator is going to be the receiver. And so, yeah, I'm hoping that will allow this 5-volt reg to last forever. Yeah, what's going on with the over on the TBS Lounge? It looks like you guys are talking about that they leaked something. Ooh. And that it might be HD related. It's interesting. Are they working with shark bite, hopefully? Or fat shark, rather? I hope so. That would be pretty fucking cool. If it'd be really nice if fat shark could, or if shark bite rather, could become a thing. But man, do they have a hell of an uphill battle in front of them. Jesus. I do not envy them. I think these standoffs are a little too long, and I am unfortunately right. Fuck. Yeah, there's no reason to have this long of a standoff on here. So let's get him out of here. Butter Thurston says, which channel is that? F7V2? This is the F7 MPU 6000. 661 says, trolling on Trappy as usual. Matthew Vega's in the house. He says, I have a Cinesplore to build, but I keep whipping out. Tonight's building is replacing the nitro engine on an old airplane with a brushless motor. That's pretty cool. Gamma Gonad says, I probably was running DJI on some. I know I'm running a Unify HV on VBAT on the one that is still chugging along. Don't remember the other builds. Probably GPS shit. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We will see. So I need a shorter spacer. I mean, I could just run a set of the Nylock nuts. Those are 3mm. They make really good spacers. For right now, I'm just gonna clean up a little bit here. The mess that I made when I was taking this shit apart. What do I have for... So I do have those little guys. Those are 5mm. I could technically just run these guys again. Yeah, you know what? These were working great. I'm just gonna run these guys again. These were actually working really, really great on this rig. This rig has flown beautifully from day one. So I'm just gonna run these guys. It'll be fine. You could actually argue that these guys could help. I don't really know about that, but you could totally argue that. So now it'll sit down there, and all is right with the world. Okay, so we've got the ground here, which is gonna go to the left side of the board, right underneath the USB. So that's actually gonna go under and there. So let me just kind of push these guys down, and then we'll pretend that this guy goes out and around and then over. So I need roughly that much there. little bit extra. Okay, and then this video line is going to have a nice short run the way that I like it, right up here to VS, video signal. And then, oh, the blue also needs to run up into the same spot, so we'll just cut those the exact same length. Probably twist them together while we're at it. Okay. So these two little fellas, we'll just run up here under these pads. And come up there. All right. I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to finish it up tomorrow. It's almost 1 a.m. Yeah. We did a good amount. Look at that. By the next time you see this, I think it'll be done. Because I just need to zap those on and then do a fresh setup and away we go. Thanks for hanging, boys and girls! Quad Yodi with the last tagged comment of the night. He says, basically, Bob's set up with his 23mm rotors, 3450, JHE MCO, F11 Pro AIO, and a DJI Vista. Alright, friends. Here comes a little more flying from the stadium. Let me find a good song on Epidemic Sound here. And I will catch you guys on Wednesday. Patrons, I'll potentially catch you guys tomorrow. Maybe not. But maybe I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out. Here's some flying. CiottiFPV.com if you want to see me keep going on this wild and wacky FPV adventure. Alright, buddies. Love ya. Be good. Here's some trap shit. Peace.